All right. Welcome back. Episode 2, Curbside College. I'm here. I'm back. Man, let me tell y'all, I got something I got to tell y'all, man. This shit is way harder than I thought it was going to be. I'm talking about this ain't just is not getting a microphone and a camera and jumping on here and talking. I run my mouth normally. Everybody who know me know that. I run my mouth like it ain't no tomorrow. But this just ain't what that is, man. This just ain't what that is, man. I get nervous up here. I lose my words. I can't find I can't find my next thought sometimes. It just happens like that. So if you're here with me and you watching, man, I appreciate you. Just bear with me. We going to build this thing out to where I start bringing y'all some real value. So I got to thinking about how hard it is to be here. You know what I'm saying? So I started doing some research on podcasts and how they fail and stuff like that. And I ran across this word called pod fade. Pod fade is when a person don't have his systems set up and he start getting overwhelmed with having to do this consistently. And I didn't want that to happen. So I started researching how people create systems so they can live their regular life while doing this. You know what I'm saying? Because I got a lot of shit going on outside of here. I can't get bogged down by a passion or by a passion project or something like that. So I started looking up the system. So pod fade. And I ran across a few statistics, right? 44%, if you see me looking down, that's because I got my notes here. You got to organize your thoughts. So 44% of podcasts usually don't even make it no more than 3 episodes. I'm like, damn, this episode number 2. So all I got to do is record one more and I'm already in the top percentile of podcast. You know what I'm saying? It might not be a huge podcast that everybody know, but we got to start somewhere, baby, you know? But 44%, that's damn near half. So half the people who start a podcast really don't make it past 3 episodes. Damn. I don't even know what to say about that. I know that's not gonna be me because I'm a consistent dude. I gotta build this thing out. Once I see the dream, I gotta go get it. You know what I'm saying? And then I ran across the next statistic. It was 90% of all podcasts only record 20 episodes. Okay, that's a little more logical. I get that because it's hard work, man, getting up here and doing this. So I could see how you could get bogged down and even exhausted trying to do this every week or every how many other times a week you do it. Me, I'm only once a week. I'm only trying to put this thing out on Sunday evenings. So I'm not going to try. I'm sure I'm not going to get too exhausted with it, but we're going to see. You know what I'm saying? And I got to thinking about it. I got to thinking about what my consistency was going to be and what my program and my system was, you know, but it's hard, it's easy to lose motivation when you ain't got that type of shit set up. When you ain't got the type of system set up, it's easy to lose motivation. It's easy to let things get in your head, you know. I had to keep my expectations realistic, you know, because I know I'm not going to create something that's going to be an instant overnight success. That's not even how I want it to come about. I want it to be built. I'm really trying to bring value to people. So that's why I don't want it to be, you know, too much of a blow up kind of thing or a kind of overnight success kind of thing, because I'm really trying to learn myself and be able to convey that information I'm learning to y'all over a course of time. So that's not what I'm here for. I'm not trying to be no super ass like big dude. I just really want to help people because I really want to create a community of like-minded people so we could bring this area of the world up. You know what I'm saying? But that's for another conversation. I'm not going to get in there. I can ramble. You know what I'm saying? But the time and energy and commitment it take to build something to build the type of program that I imagine in my head, I know it's not going to happen overnight. I know I got to commit time. I know I got to sacrifice time in other places to build this thing out, but I don't have a problem with that. That's what we're going to do. You know what I'm saying? But my vision is clear. I tell you that now. My vision is clear. I know where I'm going. I know the next steps. You know what I'm saying? I know how I'm going to start bringing real value to people outside of this podcast, outside of this YouTube show. I know what I'm going to do to start reaching out to people. I know what we're going to do there. You know what I'm saying? So that's not a problem. But I'm going to tell you right now, man, just the doubt itself is man, horrible to overcome. Like, doubt is the devil. I'm gonna just say it, man. Doubt is the devil. You ever seen the movie Matrix when Neo kept running around and everybody kept turning into an agent and it seemed like no matter how much he outran it, he fucking ran into another one? That's how doubt is. You know what I'm saying? The devil use people to project their goddamn insecurities and they fears on you when you got an idea that don't seem like they can wrap their head around it. That's what happens, man. That's why I say the devil is doubt. The doubt is devil, man. Because if you, first of all, you should be keeping you should be keeping your dreams to yourself until you get a couple steps into them, because it's a fragile thing. It's a fragile thing building something that you can't see. You know what I'm saying? Something that's not tangible. It's a fragile thing to the brain to build something like that, man. So you got to be careful who you share your ideas with, because the devil going to use them to put doubt in you. You know what I'm saying? Just like the Matrix used all them people to put agents in front of Neo. You know what I'm saying? That's the best kind of like situation that I could explain to y'all, that the way I see doubt, man. Because if you just constantly sharing your shit, people can't listen. People can't wrap their head around it. God gave you them lenses. Only you could see that vision. Them is God-given lenses that you looking through. So you can't expect people to be able to climb out of their insecurities to understand what you got going on. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes that could jeopardize friendships. You know what I'm saying? Sharing your dreams with people can jeopardize friendships. People grow jealousy. Some people got so much going on in their life that they can't even dream about doing something other than going to work and coming home every day. You know what I'm saying? And that type of stuff sometimes breeds jealousy and envy. You know what I'm saying? So it's just best to keep your dreams and shit to yourself. You know what I'm saying? And but I understand why people have, those insecurities and those fears. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's something we need to understand about fear. You know what I'm saying? I think it's something that we need to understand about fear, bro. I think fear rewire the brain. Okay, let me give you an example. So let's say if you jumped off a roof and broke your ankle, right? Your motherfucking brain is going to wire to save you from that. So you ain't going to never jump off a roof again. But so that same concept, doing something that you're uncomfortable with, your brain is wired to protect you. You know what I'm saying? So you got to start learning from that failure. You know what I'm saying? Because it's rewiring your brain to do something that you're rewiring your brain to do something that you are scared to do. And that take you going in and doing that. It's something we got to understand. You know what I'm saying? Circumstances wires the brain. Everything you go through, build that mind. You got that perception. You got everything. So that's why we got to understand that we need to learn from fear. We need to learn from having self-doubt. You know what I'm saying? Once you start to learn that, you can start seeing the little signs of why other people have it. You know what I mean? Because it's a lot of things that we grew up doing that have us, in that state of mind. And personally, I think one of those things is the education system. The way we was taught in school is way different than in people of privileged background, should I say? You know what I'm saying? It's things like critical thinking and compliance. And what I mean by that is that in a privileged school, they teach those kids how to critically think. They teach them how to solve problems. They teach them how to use their brain and fire them neurons inside there to complete a task. In the middle and lower class schools, they teach them to just comply. Here goes the question. Look in this book for the answer. That's it. Do what you told. And I think we got to understand what type of perspectives and mentality compounded on that. You know what I'm saying? Because if we don't start to understand what differences we got that successful people got, we ain't gonna never be able to climb out of this hole we in right now. So we got to start to understand that, but we're going to say that for a later show. You know what I'm saying? I am going to expand a little bit on the difference between the education system, but lower to middle class and the privileged class, because we gonna lay some groundwork on that. Okay, so it's the curriculum, right? Two different curriculums. First of all, our schools was like based on, state and county budgets and shit like that. Oakland always going through a budget deficit, or they got to shut schools down and cutting athletic programs. But them privileged schools, them kids' parents be donating to them schools. Our parents ain't had no money to be giving those schools. We barely had school clothes. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Having book fair money was a flex back in my day. You know what I'm saying? When I was going to elementary school and middle school. But the curriculum just taught us to follow orders. And that's what we got to do. I mean, that's what we got to understand, is that the curriculum taught us to follow orders and not to think on our own. You know what I'm saying? Another statistic showed that students that made a C or less is the most successful coming from middle and lower class, because they understood that they don't have to do what the teacher said or do what everybody was put in a position to tell them to do. You know what I'm saying? So it's something we could learn from people who got bad grades. I was a BC student myself. I was a little bit more advanced in certain areas, but I would have got better grades if I'd have went to class more. You know what I'm saying? But you know, it's like being taught to lead versus being taught to comply. That's how I could like box it up to where it's simple that we can understand. You know what I'm saying? It's like we taught to just do what we told, and you know, even our parents, you know what I'm saying? Our parents put so much faith in the education system that was built to suppress us from the jump. You know what I'm saying? These lower to middle class schools ain't doing nothing but cranking out workers. You know what I'm saying? Cranking out straight workers. But those privileged schools, they cranking out CEOs, business owners, lawyers, accountants. Our schools is cranking out trash men, you know, janitors, cashiers, shit like that, man. So we got to understand the differences in the way we was raised in the education system we was brought up under. Because that whole system, I'm not going to get into who created and who structured the public education school system, because that's going to be a long episode. But we got to understand the intentions of that person was to create a nation of workers, not thinkers. And that's why I created this show, because Cyrbside College is going to highlight the areas that we excel in. We really excel in everything. We just don't have the confidence to understand that we do excel in it. And that's a real problem for me. That's a real problem for me, because I like talking to my people. I like hanging with my boys, and we all got intelligent things to say about certain situations, or, you know what I'm saying? Or anything like that. Anything like that. I got a real problem with my people not knowing that they are already the standard. That's why America hates drug dealers so much, because they already understand commerce and business, profit and loss. Product advertisement. We already understand all that shit. The only thing we don't understand is ownership. Ownership, because we wasn't taught ownership. Our parents wasn't taught ownership. You know what I'm saying? I think it's 2 or 3 generations to where we had black folks opening their own business, black cleaners, black car washes, black gas stations. You know what I'm saying? That generation is far gone. We're not going to get into Black Wall Street today, because I don't feel like really going down that rabbit hole. I'm trying to keep these episodes at least 15, 20 minutes. You know what I'm saying? To bring as much value as I can, to bring as much value as I can in that little bit of time. But we got to understand it. We got to understand that we systematically fucked up. They knew what they was doing from the jump. And you know, I might get in trouble for talking like this. I ain't even going to lie. But we need to understand. That's why America made drugs illegal. Because if we understand commerce and logistics and profit and loss and P&L statements and all that type of shit, if we learn that, we already knew how to fucking do that shit. You know what I'm saying? So I got a serious question. Why people don't like talking about money? That's a real question. I really want to know the answer. Why people don't like talking about money? As much as people say they want money, they want to be rich, they want to have a better life, people do not like discussing money. I don't understand that. People don't want to tell you how much money they made. People don't want to tell you how much money you know what I'm saying? Like, that don't make a difference, because the same person, somebody can make the same amount of money and do things different with their money. Just because you know how much money somebody make don't mean you got them all figured out. Let's get that out the way. You know what I'm saying? Somebody will tell you how many people they had sex with or fucked in one day before they talk about money. I think that's a little bit more personal. You know what I'm saying? Let's think about that. Let's say that out loud again. Somebody will tell you how many sexual partners they had than rather tell you how much money they made or what they doing with the money. Think about that. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? We got to start sharing information about what to do with money, about business. We got to start sharing that type of stuff because you might be able to change somebody's life and then in turn, they'll change yours. I don't understand why we don't discuss money. We don't discuss the one thing that we all want, that we all got in common. That's the one thing everybody got in common. Some people don't care about money, granted. Some people, some people don't care about money. Some people don't care about success. Some people just want to be comfortable and happy. I get that. But that comfortability and that happiness is different for everybody. You know what I'm saying? We can have that conversation if we start to discuss money and discuss finances and discuss what we doing here and how we do this. What methods we use to save, what methods we use to invest, what methods we use to do this and that. You know what I'm saying? How we structure our household expenses all the time. We need to start having these conversations. You know what I'm saying? We need to start having these conversations. I'm not saying that you need to tell somebody what you got in your safe, but we can have conversations on what you did to double that $1,000. You know what I'm saying? We can have conversations about that. I don't see why we can't. But people don't like talking about money. I want y'all to try this. I want you to go around some people you know and start talking about money and see how uncomfortable it make them. Let's talk about money. Say something about money saving. Ask your people what methods they use to save money. You know what I'm saying? Ask your partner, start talking about money and see how uncomfortable it make people. I don't understand that one bit. I don't understand what makes people so uncomfortable and we all got that same thing in common. We all want money. You know what I'm saying? Once we move that uncomfortable feeling about money out the way, we can start having bigger discussions on how to make more. We could become a community of people that make money. That's what we need. That's one thing we need. Ain't no other race worry about talking about money. Our Arabic brothers buying up everything in our communities. You know what I'm saying? The Asians got shit sold up. What market? What do we got? You know what I'm saying? What do we have? What do African American black people in America have that we call ours? That we got total control over? Culture, that's it. That's the only thing I could think of. That's the only thing I could think of. You know what I'm saying? Mi hermanos Latinos got service industry sold up. The Asians got logistics sold up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand. What area of commerce or business can we say that black people control? Sports and entertainment, we losing that. We don't own nothing in there. We see what's going on with music. They taking all the music. They taking all the ownership from the music. You heard of Spotify just changed their rules that everything you upload, they can fucking copy and keep in perpetuity. I hope y'all understand what perpetuity mean. Look up perpetuity and see what that means. Every time you upload your music from now on to Spotify, that you don't own it no more. You don't own the IP, the intellectual property. You don't own it. But you're still signing the shit anyway. You still giving up your rights anyway. After all this time, we ain't learned nothing. We got to start having a conversation about money, people. We got to. Because if we don't, we going to be worse off in the future than we have been in the past. Because this technology is changing our world very rapidly, man. And I've been keeping up with it as much as I can, and I'm going to try to get at to y'all. Matter of fact, next episode might be about what's going on in AI and the companies that's controlling it and how much money they dumping into this shit. We live in the Bay. This is the technology frontier area. Like, I don't know if that means, I don't know if I brought them words out right. The technological frontier started here in the Bay. We still got some of the biggest companies, Apple, Google. You know what I'm saying? Tesla. You know what I'm saying? Super Mike. You know what I'm saying? We got, listen. And that's exactly why we getting left out of this money race. It's because we ain't create nothing. We ain't putting our heads together. We ain't using our resources and our connections and bringing them together and create I don't know, damn motherfucker created an app. That's why I created this show. I don't know nobody who created an app. I don't know nobody who using the resources of the area we in. People always say, never come to the Bay. And you go down south, they got everybody go there. People never come here on tour. They never have money conferences here. That's because you niggas ain't doing shit. I'm included. I never created no app. But I'm doing my part right here by making it known. I'm doing my part right here. And I'm making it known that we in the greatest time in the world right now and nobody create nothing. Y'all worried about thug funky ass. You know what I'm saying? Create something. Get up and create something. Your self-esteem gonna go through the roof once you bring something in your mind out to the world, man. Bring something in your mind out to the world, man. Watch what it do for your confidence. It feel like coming from the gym. If you know me, y'all know I go to the gym all the time. You follow me on Instagram, I'm always in the gym. Might not look like it right now, but you know, we get there. Bring something to life in your head and see what it do for your confidence. But like I said before, be careful who you share it with. Doubt is the devil, and he use them like Matrix agents. The nigga sitting next to you might tell you can't do it. You know what I'm saying? The nigga next to you might tell you can't do it. That's a real problem. We got to start talking about these things. Like on my flyer, all the shit we need to be talking about. I'm telling you right now. And I'm far from done. I'm far from done. I built this little studio just so I could get started, so I feel comfortable, and I'm trying to make the best production I can. This is the technological frontier area of the world. The Bay Area. Think about it. That's why we left behind, because we not indulging with our we are not indulging with our land. We're not indulging in our land's resources. How about that? We're not indulging in our land's resources. That's why. But watch this though. Everything that them motherfuckers make cool, we did it for them. I'm going to say that one more time. Everything they making millions of dollars off of, we made it cool for them. Man, I wish I had my phone right here. I'll look up what black money spend every year. I think it's close to something. I think it's over $1 trillion. It's over $1 trillion I think black people spend. But we don't own shit. We don't invest in shit. And that's a real problem. That's a real problem. But I'm not going to go too much into that. You know what I'm saying? Cyrbside College, man. I'm here. We here. And we're going to build this community out. I promise. That's one thing I promise. You know what I'm saying? I want to single-handedly bring commerce, financial, ownership, community, all that shit together, man, so we could build something great out here, man. Make Oakland great again, man. Make Oakland great again, man. Think about the shit that we had. Man, look. The whole West Oakland used to be black-owned businesses. If my history serves me correctly, East Oakland was the white side, if I'm not mistaken. But don't quote me on that. I might have to do some more research. All right, man. Cyrbside College, episode 2. You know, we here. I'm going to catch y'all later. All right.